Hello and welcome to our daily sketching routine. It is Tuesday. I'm going to start a new page here, July the 15th, 2025, and today's topic is going to be referencing your sketches, your own sketches. But before we begin, welcome back if you're returning and welcome if you're new to the channel. I sketch and post every day and I use a timer to stay focused and to build a habit. I'll start a 10-minute timer. In a way, it'll be a continuation of what I've been doing for the past 4 days, I think. I started on the 10th and then all the way till the 14th, which was yesterday. And so I ended up with, and yeah, check out those videos. That was kind of its own series about figure drawing from imagination and then kind of how to use reference and stuff. So I ended up with a couple of pages of sketches and I'll be using them as reference, which is why today is called referencing your sketches. So there's a lot to kind of go over, and it doesn't have to be like sketches that you just did. It's just that I have some ideas and I like these. This can also be used for older sketches, like in older sketchbooks. This video will be kind of an overview, and this will be like kind of a new, like its own series. I'm going to start a new page and I will put whatever I'm sketching on the screen. I'm not really sure what the composition will be, and this will be kind of like it'll turn into an illustration. Like that's my goal. So I'm going to talk about like all the different ways you can use these sketches, basically, because in the videos I talked about how to sketch from imagination, but then how to develop. I didn't like get to that part, and so that's kind of what this will be about. So one thing I'll go over is like how to scale up like a sketch. So I kind of like this. So I'm just going to make it this size so that I can fit it on the camera. And I'm going to use a pencil. There's some other ways I'm going to do it, but like just to get started. Partly because I know that a lot of people probably want to use a pencil, especially if you're still learning. So since I already kind of know like the method that I use, like the figure, like I can, one, it's fun to use a pencil to be a little bit more like sketchy because I like to sketch anyway. And also, when you're doing like the thumbnails, so I'll put it up here somewhere. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. When you're using the thumbnail or sketching it, like there's a lot of information that you can put into it. And each step kind of has like its own purpose. So what I mean is when I did like the thumbnail, for example, like I knew like it was a thumbnail, so I did it a certain way because like I understood like the purpose of it for myself. Like I knew like how much information like I needed, and that just kind of comes from practice. So I'm upscaling the thumbnail, and it works because number one, I know how to construct something, and that's why I wanted to do a series on how to construct like the figure, but you could use this for anything else. But I just want to point out how this is like its own process. Like the thumbnail is one thing, and this is sketching is what this is. Like this isn't a thumbnail. Like it's bigger than a thumbnail. So this is sketching. And so thumbnailing is kind of its own thing. And then sketching is kind of its own thing. Notice I'm using some construction here because the thumbnail is missing like some of the construction. And by construction, I just mean like these forms, like the basic kind of forms, like kind of like this. So I'm not looking at the pose was originally from some kind of reference picture, but right now I'm not doing that. I'm just looking at the sketch that I did. And if you're using a pencil, yeah, it gives you a little bit more room to develop like this kind of thing. So yeah, I'll put the thumbnail up here so you can kind of see. And it depends on how much time you want to spend on it. I mean, you don't have to force yourself to do it. And plus, I want to do some other things in this video, so I'll just leave it at that for now. But the thumbnail has a lot of information already. And that's the benefit of it. Like another thing that can happen. And I'm just looking at whatever is interesting. So another thing is, for example, like I took this and then I just kind of drew something real quick. That was from that. But let's say that I wanted to, let's say I'll do this one. Because I don't really want to draw that again. I mean, I could. It's not like the greatest character, but this kind of looks like it could be a character. And in this one, I'm going to just go ahead and use a pen. So this is just another approach. There's not like a right or wrong way. So part of like composition, like if you're going to do kind of a page kind of like this, part of why this works is because I just went ahead and did it like kind of in different like sizes and subject matter and stuff. So it goes with like the collage aspect of it. What I mean is I'll just draw like a kind of like a close-up. So in this one, I'm going to just use a pen, and there's going to be like construction in the sense that I'm like laying it out. However, since I'm using a pen, and this just comes from like being used to using a pen, kind of like this. So I'm eyeballing this one. So you can see the difference between what I did here, where I'm sketching it out and adjusting it to make it look more like the thumbnail. Whereas this one, I'm going to make up like a lot of stuff. However, I'm being like inspired by like the sketch that I did. Like, and so it's just like an option. Kind of like this. Now at some point I am going to talk about like how to use reference like with it. It's kind of up to you. Like, so for example, let's say that I get this far. And it doesn't have to be exactly like the thumbnail, but the point is that like you start to have like an illustration kind of like this. Another kind of thing would be sort of like this. So I mean there's like some construction there, as you can see. Maybe the other like thing I can talk about is, what about like just drawing it? I'm just gonna take this one right here, so I'll put that on the screen. Just like draw. But this is one of those things that you can't force. So the thumbnail helps because it tells me some things. But this is one of those situations where it's kind of harder to sort of explain, but it's not that hard to like demonstrate. So this one, you could have just done this even without a thumbnail. However, you just have to think of the pose, so like having the thumbnail helps because of that. So I'm just gonna like create a character because, but it takes like, you have to visualize it, what I'm getting at here. Like you have to just draw like stuff, and sometimes it's okay. I mean, I will point out that when you're doing this, like visualizing it like this, it is harder to speak because it's using like visual, like I have to access like my visual part of my brain. But this is where you just go ahead and like shade it and render it and just create a character, like if you can. But part of it has to do with, yeah, like just drawing it and then checking to see. So yeah, I'm just being inspired by the thumbnail, like what I think the character might look like. Sometimes I'll just draw this anyway, like even without the thumbnail. It helps. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to talk while you're visualizing something. But I just wanted to kind of show you how it works. But that's one way to do that. Oh, it wasn't even in camera. So this one was, yeah, just looking at a thumbnail, but like making stuff up and then just, it just takes like a different part of the brain to do this. Part of it has to do with like if you know what the character looks like, for example, since I don't really know, like I had to make up that the character, but then the thumbnail helped with like some of the like the posing and everything. Like if you wanted to, you can also just trace over like the sketch. You could just want like the shape. So for example, like this. Maybe I just want like the shape of this. And then it's also a way to adjust things, like rework something. Like, sort of take what you like about it. Kind of like this. Again, these are just ideas. There's like an infinite amount of ways you could approach it. So there's like one way of doing it. So in this way, you're just giving yourself some room to like take what you like about this sketch and then develop it further. Like for example, I might look up like a coat, like if this character is wearing like a trench coat type thing. But yeah, I'll keep working on this page, but that'll be it for today. I want to thank you for joining me for our daily sketching routine, and if you enjoy these videos, please support the channel. I appreciate it, and until next time, keep on sketching.